two halves. Notre Dame just
welcome back
in the opening 30 minutes.
to Chapel Hill.
Have awoken here in the second half with 9 tallies.
Yeah, and they're doing it with a lot of versatility. Kavanaugh's got the 4 goals, but Seymour with the lefty hammer. He has a righty one in the fourth quarter. The drive, the improv, smelling pay dirt. 50 hits again, and then Faison, the athlete, uses the body. Jeffrey uses the feet.
4 goals for that man, Chris Kavanaugh, and just the stark comparison in the opening half. Kevin Corrigan's team only put 3 shots on goal. They didn't have a single shot on cage in the opening quarter.
Well, the interesting thing about this team, when they shoot the ball on cage, they know how to hit the back of the net. They're second in the country in terms of team shooting percentage. But they weren't coming out of the breaks, and when they were dodging poor angles. Credit some of the defense from North Carolina, but they figured it out. And now they're doing it. I said it earlier, Jake Taylor's been a little quiet. What has to happen when he's quiet? Midfield dodging goals, and that's what they've had. 2 from Seymour in this half, 1 from Jeffrey, 1 from Faison. That's the recipe.
Harris from Carolina find an answer here in the fourth. 16 turnovers have doomed the Tar Heels. Petramala lays it over to Werthart. Back to X. This is Matt Reedy against Campese. Marshberger on the invert. Ramsey's done a nice job today. That shot saved by Richard Delly, loose in front.
That's a great stop by the redshirt sophomore.
Carolina trying to get it back. Flags down.
Flags down everywhere. Uh-oh.
Looks like Kavanaugh, who's down for the Irish. Duffy took a spill.
English dumped Kavanaugh there, and he looks like he's hurting. Ball's on the ground. It's a good check by Petramala. There's nothing wrong with that. And then as Duffy goes to the ball, he gets it high, and I think the ref throws a flag there.
Flag! Oh, no.
And then English just comes in and...
Oh, come on.
And McQuain gets right in there. You go back to the game between these two in 2015. That game turned...
Epic. Yeah. The Evan Connell hit. The Evan Connell hit on Matt Kavanaugh.
What was that, a 2 or 3 minute non-releasable penalty? And then Notre Dame in the last 90 seconds or so scored 3 man-up goals to win.
We're looking at high hits.
They're going to look at this to see if there was a high hit.
Yeah, the refs can go to the videotape when it's up near the head and neck area. They throw another flag here on English. So there's going to be a foul on Buckner. That was towards the head area. They didn't tell us yet if it was 1 minute, though. They can upgrade it to 2 minutes, and then the English hit was up near the head and neck area as well.
And, Carp, there are layers to those hits to the head and neck area.
Yep. 1 minute, indirect. 2 minutes, direct. And then 3 is flagrant, which would be egregious. So I didn't hear the refs give the initial call if it was a 1 minute for each of those. So we don't know right now if they're going to be upgrading, downgrading, or staying put.
Helmet off for Kavanaugh, who's got 4 goals today. 3 in the second half. Tar Heels have only scored twice since the opening quarter.
Buckner gets Duffy here.
What does that look to you? That doesn't look...
That looks like a minute to me.
That looks like a minute to you? And then what do you call here? On the English hit on Kavanaugh.
Actually, that could go to 2. The Buckner one, now that I look at it from that angle, could go to 2. That was direct, right? Right to the head. I think the English one's won. The English one, he also had a player. Kavanaugh was lower, too. And as he's lower and he's approaching him, he uses his shoulder. Yeah, he gets near that head and neck, but I think that was indirect. I wouldn't be surprised if Buckner goes to 2 and English stays at 1.
And something to remember, Carolina with its 6 goals today, 2 of them have come with a man advantage. They have not really done a whole lot in the 6-on-6.
The thing with the Buckner hit, it wasn't very forceful. Definitely up by the head, and he used the stick, like almost like in a cross-checking, thrusting motion.
There it is. There.
That seems to be the debate right now. Hans Wittelsberger and the officiating crew going over it.
High ball foul. 12 blue. Illegal body check for a minute. We got a dead ball foul. 23 white. Illegal body check for a minute. There's no face off. It's going to be white ball. No. Blue ball. We had the last one.
It should be blue ball because it was a dead ball foul, and then they were the last to foul on the dead ball. That would be rewarded to the team. And in this case, it should be Notre Dame's ball.
Last foul is by white.
Yeah, the last foul's on white, so that has to be, and it's a dead ball. It's the last foul, and it's a dead ball. That should be Notre Dame playing 5-on-5 with the ball. Buckner was the first foul, and then afterwards, English was a dead ball when the play was dead. That was the second foul, so it should be awarded to Notre Dame.
We go 5-on-5 with 8:04 to go in the 4th, and Faison will trigger. A guy like Faison with more space.
This is a big advantage for Notre Dame being 5-on-5. Now you have a healthy shot clock. There's no rush to do anything right away. But I would attack.
Well, 5-on-5. Oh boy.
25 to 30 seconds rather than 15 seconds where you normally want to do that when you're holding, stalling. The reason being is because you want to be playing in the 5-on-5 world, and that's only for 60 seconds here. So around 20 seconds on the shot clock, you're going to be all even at 6-on-6. You want to attack around 30 to live in that 5-on-5 world.
And you don't want to leave time for North Carolina to have a 5-on-5 should they get the ball.
Exactly. So I would go around 30 seconds. It's a lot easier, like you said. Give 14 the ball 5-on-5. It's a lot easier to score on North Carolina than 6-on-6. See, they're going to elect to play it a little safe here.
They have a 4-goal lead.
Yep.
There's Faison. Now we're back to 6-on-6. Faison dancing, shaking, lost it. Ashon the other way in an ambush. Escapes.
He had Hager up. I thought he should have passed it to the middle with Hager up. Had some numbers on the backside with Petramalo. There would have been another 2-on-1.
Especially, Carr, considering North Carolina has had 0 in transition. Levy to Duffy. Over to Petramalo. Missed the cage.
It's good offense. But it started with Levy. I would continue with Levy. 14. He's getting a short stick here. Big, strong senior playing his last game on Dorrance Field unless they host.
Softball follows here on ESPNU. And it's Coppin State and Norfolk State. The start of that game can be seen on the ESPN app. So early in the game, in that first quarter, North Carolina was moving the ball. They were getting some good looks. Some of them were from the outside. We haven't seen as much of that. Turnovers have been an issue as well. Meanwhile, Notre Dame in the second half, you're right. Carolina focused on Jake Taylor. The midfield has taken over.
They have. I also thought Carolina would have tried to use the pick game a little bit more with Owen Duffy and get light off of him. I know Duffy's hobbled. Notre Dame will switch on picks. Surprised they didn't bring a short stick down to Duffy. short stick matchup with one of their midfielders to play that two-man game and get some switches.
Short stick matchup for Kavanaugh against O'Berry. Kavanaugh looking for his fifth. Slicing through the defense all the way.
Oh.
No good. Back up to Buzenkill.
He moves really well, too. Chris Kavanaugh, in terms of just the way that he gets to the middle of the field. It's the little shakes and his plant foots are super aggressive.
That looked to be a pass. Less than 5 minutes to go. Carolina needs 4 goals to tie. They've only scored 2 since the opening quarter. And UNC put 7 shots on goal in that first quarter. Only 7 shots on goal since, and this has been a problem. Turnovers. They haven't been able to get into their offense.
Notre Dame is so good. We mentioned earlier in the 3 levels of their ride, right? It's all-out blitz with the attackers going after the close defenders and the goalies. And then they're a little bit softer in that middle section, and then they press again. It's like pressure,
Catch your
soft
breath.
pressure.
Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly.
There's Harshberger. He's been quiet. Spins back to his right. Redodges. Dumps it to Duffy. He'll launch. Richard Delly to save. That felt like a poker player on tilt a little, didn't it?
Yep.
Ramsey splitting the defense.
Whoa! We score!
The bagpiper strikes again. That's 2 weeks in a row. He's gone end to end from his defensive midfield position to smell and pay dirt. Ben Ramsey just rushes through the pressure of the defense in North Carolina. I thought he was running out of real estate there. I thought maybe he was going to go behind the back, or he's
Let's go by Ben Ramsey. By Ben Ramsey.
Been a mainstay in Kevin Corrigan and Ryan Wellner's defense as a shorty.
He's among the best. Trail check done.
I don't think so.
This rope unit for Notre Dame, all of Kevin Corrigan's best teams have been elite on the rope unit. Two-way middies, LSMs.
Yeah.
They think like the John Sextons of the world.
Donovan is so smooth with ground balls, and I thought his freshman year in 2023, he tilted the field.
Championship weekend, he was a game changer.
He was one of the top 4 or 5 most valuable players on the field his freshman year. Yo, the Irish brought some fans too.
Yep, we did brought some fans here.
The Leprechauns are multiplying.
Now, this is the IT program in lacrosse. You know, eras change, right? You had Hopkins in the 70s and 80s, and obviously before the NCAA era, Syracuse, Princeton in the 90s, Duke. It's Notre Dame now.
Whoa!
You know, they're in conversation with every top recruit in the country. They are a major player. Like, no one is saying no to Notre Dame, right? You're at least looking at them as in your top 5. And then you go out and you take in Arlotta and the vibe that they have there when they're the home team. The mainstay now in championship weekends.
We're under 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
You know, for years, Kevin Corrigan, before Notre Dame was in the Big East, or the ACC, they were the Great Western Lacrosse League. And it wasn't easy to get guys to Notre Dame. Yes, the brand of the school was known nationwide, but it wasn't a lacrosse power.
This is our first time out.
It hadn't spread its tentacles to other regions. And I remember what Kevin Corrigan used to say. He said, as we build this program, first, we want to get guys who can play for everybody else. They did. Then they got guys who could start for everybody else. And then that last piece, they got guys who could star for everybody else. And now they're at a point where they get whoever they want.
It's unbelievable. And also geographically, look, you have guys like Jordan Faison from Florida. Jake Taylor's from Denver, right? Wilma Harris is a local Midwestern guy from Illinois. Like, they recruit nationally. Notre Dame has always been a national brand, but their lacrosse program reflects that as well in terms of their recruiting footprint.
And Long Island's been pretty good to them too, though.
Yeah. Mary and Kevin Cavanaugh have been pretty good to them too.
So Notre Dame is looking at a 5th straight win against UNC. The previous 4 were all decided by at least 7 goals. This one looked to be different early. Carolina blitzed the Irish with a 4-0 run. They led 4-1 at the half, and then Notre Dame has outscored UNC 10-2 in the second half. So let's backtrack. We saw the selection committee's top 10 rankings. Carolina was at number 5, Notre Dame at number 10. This win, top 5 RPI win, you would think that would prop up Notre Dame enough to be a top 8, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
And that means a first-round home game in Arlada.
100%. You have to think, coming on the road and beating a team like North Carolina, who has the numbers, I'd be shocked, unless something really goes off the rails for Notre Dame in the ACC tournament where they lose the first game. I'd be really surprised if they don't host.
All right, what about North Carolina? So, this loss to Notre Dame, quality loss, is not going to hurt you. They have Syracuse next week, and the outcome of that game will help decide who's the 1 seed in the ACC tournament. Now, the big thing with the ACC tournament, there's no automatic qualifier. So it's really an RPI boost for the 4 teams involved. Duke and Virginia will battle it out for the last spot. Empty net.
Whoa! Scores! We are extending it to 6.
Prior to last year, a few years before 2024, they were doubling up ACC games, and there was no ACC tournament. I thought, that might hurt you if you play in the ACC tournament. Kevin Corrigan said, nah, no problem. They blitzed the ACC tournament last year.
2 years in a row.
Yeah, and they did not even flinch when it came to debating, is it okay to play in this tournament? Does it hurt the team? Are we going to be rested for the tournament? I think his philosophy was, let's play our best lacrosse and let's go. And the beauty of that is he doesn't overschedule in the regular season. They played less games.
We walked out of the ACC tournament a year ago, and I remember saying to Matt Ward as we're walking out, who's beating this team?
What was his response? Nobody?
Nobody did. And they blow towards through the postseason. These goals now in this last 90 seconds, they're not totally irrelevant because let's say Carolina responds by beating Syracuse next week and Syracuse beats Duke. You'd have a 3-way tie for first place in the ACC. Goal differential matters in terms of seeding for the ACC. Again, in the grand scheme of things, I think Notre Dame, UNC, and Syracuse all end up getting in. Duke has work to do.
Duke has work to do even if they win today, because if Duke wins today and loses to Virginia, they're not going to the ACC tournament. Virginia would have the head-to-head. Duke, if they win today, would only have 1 ACC win. And if they lose next week to Virginia, that would be Virginia's first ACC win, but they have the head-to-head. That's a great look by Levy. That was a fantastic pass to the backside.
We're under
5 goals today for CJ Kirst.
We're under a minute to go in the 4th quarter.
That ties the record for Peyton Cormier. The crazy thing about this, Anish, CJ Kirst, he's on pace to have 25 more goals if Cornell goes to championship weekend. Of 25 more goals than Peyton Cormier at this pace. Of all the top 10 goal scorers in the history of the sport, CJ Kirst would have played the least amount of games of any of those top 10 goal scorers. Think about it. His freshman year, he goes to championship weekend. His sophomore year, they lose in the first round to Michigan. He had no tournament games that year. other than Michigan. Last year, they don't even make the tournament. Now, this year, he's on this run. So what he's doing is unprecedented. And I know the argument is always, with the old guard says, oh, they play so many more games. C.J. Kirst didn't. He played 4 straight years, and he's doing it in less games. It's incredible. That guy plays like he's possessed.
Again, you start to look around the country today, and C.J. Kirst, one of the great shot makers of all time, 224 career goals now. Cornell is going to get another resume-building win against Harvard. Princeton held off a Penn team that was game today 12-8, and then a couple other outcomes that affect teams. St. Joe's losing to High Point. St. Joe's, remember, is one of Duke's better wins.
Yeah.
Duke and Syracuse underway down the road in Durham. Blue Devils have jumped out to a 2-0 lead. That game on the ACC network.
The reality is, if Duke loses today and then loses to Virginia, I think they're toast. They won't go to the ACC tournament. I don't see how they would get it. Now, there's a lot to change with that state. They could easily win today. They could win next week.
The bubble this year, you kind of navigate through it. It's pretty weak, and the one thing that Duke will have, they're going to have the win against Michigan. And if it comes down to Duke and, let's say, Michigan for that last at-large spot,
it's a double-edged sword, though, because you want Michigan to do really well, but you also want to beat them out, right? So that's you want them to do really well, because if they nosedive Michigan, then you have no RPI, right? And but if they go on a run, you beat them, but that run might cost you.
Notre Dame with an impressive second half today. For Carolina, a question for Joe Bresci over these next few weeks. How do you manage Owen Duffy and Dom Petramala, nagging injuries? If they're able to win next week, do you sit them for that first?
Yes! We won the game by 6 points! And the final score, 12-6. Go Notre Dame for the Irish!
Emerging from the midfield and supporting Kavanaugh and Taylor. I think the rest of the lacrosse world.
All right, next Saturday will be our last game against Bowling Green Falcons next Saturday to wrap up our regular season finale. And we'll be flying back home, back to South Bend, Indiana.
With a superlative second half. 11 of the 12 Notre Dame goals come after halftime, and they roll on the road 12-6. Softball is next.
So long to Chapel Hill.